Is your employer ensuring that you get your legally mandated rest breaks? If not, give us a call at Recky and Woke and we can help. What are Washington State's rest break laws? In Washington State, an employee is entitled to a 10-minute rest break for every 4 hours they work. In addition, they're entitled to a 30-minute meal break after the 5th hour of work. How long should rest breaks be for employees in Washington State? In Washington State, an employee that works 4 hours is entitled to a 10-minute rest break. That's on the employer's time. That means you should get paid for it and you should be relieved of all duties while working.
Hardeep, is there something called an intermittent rest break?
There is something called an intermittent rest break. And what that basically means is that an employer can look at multiple breaks that you took and combine them into that 10 minutes. Things such as bathroom breaks don't count in that. But if you take two 5-minute breaks, they can combine that to equal one 10-minute break. How frequently should employees be taking rest breaks in Washington State? Well, the law is clear. In Washington State, an employer must give a rest break to an employee for every 4 hours they work. That rest break is for 10 minutes. Your employer can give you more, but they can't give you less. So for every 4 hours that you work, you're entitled to a 10-minute paid rest break. After 5 hours of work, you're entitled to a 30-minute unpaid lunch. Are rest breaks voluntary in Washington State? No. An employer must give each employee a 10-minute rest break for every 4 hours of work. That's your time to rest from the workday. An employer cannot waive those breaks, and an employee cannot waive those breaks. That's different than a meal break. An employer and employee can agree to waive the 30-minute unpaid meal break. But again, with a rest break, you can't waive it even if you want to. Should you be getting paid for your rest breaks? Yes, absolutely. An employer is required to pay their hourly employees for the 10-minute rest break that they take. An employee is entitled to a 10-minute rest break for every 4 hours worked, and that's on the employer's time. That means the employer pays you to rest.
So Hardeep, what if you miss your rest break because you're too busy?
It's a good question. If you miss your rest break because you're too busy, you need to notify your employer, and they're required to pay you for that time.
So you mean they would pay you for your 10-minute missed rest break?
That's right. So let's say you worked for 4 hours. You're entitled to one 10-minute rest break, and you missed it, and you let your employer know. Your employer is now obligated to pay you for 4 hours and 10 minutes to make up for that missed rest break. So one of the things that employers sometimes do is they force you to work through your rest breaks. That's illegal. It's called wage theft. You're entitled to that 10 minutes breaks on the employer's time. In Washington, we recognize that working is hard, and for every 4 hours, the employer must give you 10 minutes of paid time to rest. They can't take that time away from you. When they do, it's wage theft.
What if you complain that you didn't get your rest breaks and the employer decides that they're going to fire you?
Well, that would be illegal also. You're entitled to those rest breaks. If your employer threatens your employment or treats you poorly because you complained about not getting rest breaks, then you need to seek help from a lawyer like us at Recky and Woke. What your employer should do when you miss a rest break and you report it is to pay you an extra 10 minutes for your missed rest break.